In this video, we're going to discuss 2D transforms. But first, I want to explain what a vendor prefix is. CSS transforms transitions have not been around that long, and there was a time when each browser had its own specification of what they wanted to do. Okay, so we used to have to use what's called vendor prefixes. These are vendor prefixes. They are needed if you want to support older browsers. In this course, in the following videos, we're not going to use these vendor prefixes because we're going to be testing in a modern browser. So I just wanted to point that out. If you feel you need to support older browsers, then you may want to look up vendor prefixes. So what we have here are two properties. We have a transition and a transform. Now each one of these properties has its own distinct values. Right now, let's go ahead and look at the transform property without the transition. So I'm going to comment out this transition, and let's take a better look at this code right here. So in the HTML, I have one image with an ID of transform. It's an image of a snowy forest, basically. So what we're positioning it at left 0, its width is 40%, height is 50%. But we're going to add this class transform, and we're going to do it with vanilla JavaScript. We're not going to use very much JavaScript in this course. All we need to do is really add classes, because we're going to create the classes inside of CSS, and then we're going to add them. So this line of code right here, document.querySelector, we are going to get the ID of the button add, and then when we click it, we're going to run this function. But then we're going to get the ID of transform, remember the picture, and then we're going to add the class that is going to transform the picture. So let's take a look at this in the browser. Okay, refresh. I'm going to click the button, and we're adding the class. So what we're doing, let's look at this class. It translates by 200 pixels. We could change it to 500 pixels and try that again. So what we're doing is translating it on the x-axis. Because our number is positive, we're going to the right. Let's go ahead and translate it to a negative 500. But let's start at a different position. So let's start at a position of 50% left. And now let's put a minus sign in front of our 500 pixels so that we're going to translate it x minus 50%. So refresh that, and now click the button. Okay, so what's happening is when we translate it by a positive, it goes to the right. That's the dimension. If we translate it to the negative, it goes to the left. Okay, those are very important to remember. That's the one dimension. Now the other dimension is the y-axis. We just talked about the x-axis. And remember, positive to the right, negative to the left. Along the y-axis, let's examine that. So in the code, let's change that capital X to a capital Y. They have to be capitals. Let's also change the value to a positive 200. So we're going to translate it on the other dimension, the Y dimension, by 200 pixels. And we go down. Let's see what would happen if we change that to a negative 200 pixels. Refresh. Okay, so what we have is positive along the y-axis. The other dimension goes down. Negative goes up. Okay, so just remember, when we transform in 2D, that's two dimensions. Our one dimension is x. That's along the horizontal axis. When we translate along the positive horizontal axis, we go to the right, and negative goes to the left. When we translate it on the y-axis, positive goes down and negative goes up. So in the next video, we're going to look at this transition all and 2s. Let me just uncomment that out and show you what this does. So when we transition, we decide how long we want the transition to be. So this is another property, and it has other specific values to it, mostly related to time, but we also have the property value. So we're going to continue this in the next movie. Anyway, thanks for watching, and if you like this movie, if you learned anything, please let me know and share this video. And if you have any questions, go ahead and put them down in the comments, and either I'll answer them or maybe somebody else will answer them. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.